because the golden ratio is sort of like, it's not the first time it's been heavily talked about. It shows up in mathematics all the time. It shows up in nature, biology, a lot of different places. If you want to make something instantaneously look beautiful, you use the golden ratio, right? The ideal sort of phase of aestheticism is based on the golden ratio. All of Da Vinci's work that stands out and resonates with the proportions so well, it's based on the golden ratio. The most beautiful flowers in the world always, almost obsessively, echo the golden ratio. Little understood, but it just has this effect. It's the core essence of aesthetics and beauty. The aspect of beauty is based on the golden ratio. Music, bum 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 bum, golden ratio. The most catching rhythms are based on the golden ratio. It's sort of like the instantaneous hook, the sugar sweetness that gets everybody. Whoa! You don't have to be smart, you don't have to be intellectual, you just taste it and there you say, oh, I think I like this. That's what the golden ratio does. Now, that might be kind of like the will of God, right? Like now I'm leapfrogging again. Why is it that the golden ratio is so prevalent and even in the balancing point of this quasi-crystal, which then results in all the constants as we know it? And here, because obviously it's God's will, right? And He likes the golden ratio. He likes the aspect of beauty. Now also, the other kind of cool thing is that you can now start to explain why some of the constants are not fixed points. If you have that crystal, and there is a greater will, and that will can manipulate the structure of the crystal, and henceforth the resonant realities that spread out. Like say, for example, we know that the world that we're in is not the perfect Eden state. Is that because that crystal was sort of wonkified, just mildly, right? It's like a guitar out of tune. And as it's wonkified a little bit in there, does it pulse? Do the nodes of these constants move around a little bit? And do they move around in relation to each other? Like liquid quasi-crystals. It holds a general shape, the macro structure is understood and maintained, but it moves a bit like a jelly, you know? And as it moves, these constants can be experimentally verified, and sometimes they're not always constant, and it's not because of measurement error. Oftentimes it's measurement error, of course, but this is why the discussion's there, because sometimes it doesn't seem to be the case, and people are losing the foundation for all their paperwork qualifications because they're like, hey man, speed of light is constant. And it's like, well, there's reasonable evidence now to suggest that that's not always the case. And it's like, well, that's gonna ruffle a lot of feathers, man. Yeah, but it is. Like, that's, you just gotta move on. Like, that's the problem, you know? And I'm not saying that because I want the speed of light to be moving or whatever. It's just, I'm just the type of person that's more like, okay, recognize the cultural baggage of your community and just move, man. Who cares? The faster you just allow it to be, the faster you can progress in understanding. Don't lose, what's it called? Don't have a cow about it, right? Now here's the really cool thing, guys. Like, if you read a little bit of like the sort of the text that used to be part of the Bible, but have been sort of separated out, and I'm thinking about like the Book of Enoch. And you know, the ancient Jews used to always talk about this Archangel Metatron, right? And Metatron was given a cube, Metatron's cube. And Metatron's cube was the cube of creation. And Metatron, of course, is like the lesser Yahweh, right? The lesser God. And with that cube, Metatron is able to manifest new realities. A form of like the Game Boy compared to the PlayStation 4, right? Like Metatron has a Game Boy, God has the PlayStation 4. And through that, Metatron can indulge in creation. And you see the Metatron cube is imbued with sort of like the golden ratio, right? If you've dug a little bit into that stuff, you see that pretty quick. Now, of course, that's sort of like looking into the nakedness of God, Yahweh, which is sort of like, okay, that's a no-no, don't do that, you know, don't seek to know the nakedness of our Lord, you know, the intimate clockwork, so to speak. But it certainly does do something cool. Like it just sounds awesome, right? So there, I think the quasi-crystal is a lot like Metatron cube, and there's a great mind, a great will that maintains its structure and shape, and that great will can change it also. And as those change, probably things like black holes just rip up whole suburban developments of the universe as we know, right? Like, and then weird things can happen, portals open up or whatever, right? And or a new reality, a new universe opens, and ours is melded in the open together, right? And that's how, you know, the cubes sort of maybe intersect, and boom, 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 out bursts a new reality. And what happens to these conscious spirits that are now in this sort of crazy world simuli, you know? And it's like, wow, pretty cool. Anyways, check them out. Links in the description. If you like my videos, consider smashing the like button, and I highly recommend that you start subscribing. Leave the bell notifications on, so you're gonna get a little ding dong in your pocket every time a cool video hits the live, you know what I mean? Guys, I got so many things to talk about. And you know what? Ain't nothing better to do. You guys are stuck at home with COVID, so just watch these videos again and again and again, and make sure you share them, yo. Okay? Peace out.